Starts now.
Right now at noon, the suspect in a crash that killed 22-year-old Pierce Corcoran appeared in court for the first time today. 44-year-old Francisco Eduardo is charged with criminally negligent homicide and driving without a license or registration. On December 29th, authorities say he swerved into oncoming traffic on Chapman Highway to avoid hitting a slowing vehicle and hit Corcoran's car head-on. 10 News reporter Mark Salinger was in court this morning and is here now with an update. Mark, good afternoon.
Heather, the judge revoked bond for Francisco Eduardo because of fear he would again be taken into ICE custody and miss the next court date. The state confirmed Francisco Eduardo was in the United States illegally at the time of the crash. His son tells me he had lived in America for more than a decade. Now, Pierce Corcoran's mother and father were in the courtroom, as were members of Francisco Eduardo's family. Both declined to speak following the hearing. The preliminary hearing scheduled for today was reset to next Thursday because the public defender assigned to Francisco Eduardo did not have enough time to speak with his client. The state disagreed with the continuance.
The fact that the defendant is subject to deportation, the fact that the ICE agents are coming to get him, the fact that he is not available for court is a direct result of the defendant's actions, or really non-actions, and the fact that he is here illegally.
Now, Francisco Eduardo was taken by ICE to a holding facility in Alabama on January 4th. He was brought back to Knox County yesterday afternoon at around 12:15 in the afternoon. Now, Francisco Eduardo will now remain in Knox County until his next court hearing, which is again rescheduled to a week from today. Heather.
Mark.